If she senses you're seeking her validation, you're finished. Every word you say, every message you send, every gesture you make, she's scanning. Not just for charm, not just for looks, but for certainty, that unshakable core a man must build or be discarded. You ever wonder why she pulled away right when you started caring more? Why she seemed into you until the moment you opened up too much? This isn't random. This is biology. And the world lied to you about it. Modern men are bleeding out in relationships, dying from silence, confusion, and pretending vulnerability alone earns love. It doesn't. Respect is oxygen. Validation seeking is poison. And today, I'm going to expose why. What women really respond to, what they really respect, and how you can build a life where women chase you, not the other way around. If this video is the truth you didn't know you needed, comment, respect over validation. Because this is the conversation we were never allowed to have. Not in school, not from our parents, and definitely not from the media. The Stoics knew, it is not things that trouble us, but our judgments about things. And the modern man is drowning in false judgments, false ideas about love, about strength, about what makes a woman stay. We were told to open up, to be soft, to put her first, to validate her non-stop. And what did that get us? Ghosted, used, rejected. But there's another path, a brutal truth. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand what makes a woman truly respect a man. And it's not what they say they want, it's what they respond to. Number 1, validation is weakness. She doesn't love you more when you give her more. She loves you less when you give away yourself for free. She won't tell you this. She may not even realize it, but her behavior will show it. She pulls away the more available you become. She starts treating you like an option the moment she becomes your priority. Have you ever texted her 3 times just to get 1 reply back? Have you ever cleared your schedule hoping she'd want to see you only for her to cancel last minute? That feeling in your stomach, that pit of emptiness that whispers you're not enough, that's not just heartbreak, that's awakening. That's your soul telling you, you've made her your God. And when you bow to a woman like she's your reason for breathing, she stops seeing you as a man. She starts seeing you as a boy, emotionally needy, desperate for reassurance, clinging to her presence like a lifeline. The truth is brutal. Women do not respect the man who needs them. They do not admire the man who validates them endlessly. They use him. They enjoy the attention. They bask in the energy. But they do not choose him, not truly, not when it matters, because they're biologically wired to seek strength. A man who walks through the fire of rejection without flinching. A man who doesn't flinch when her energy shifts, who doesn't panic when her texts slow down, who doesn't become reactive because he was never attached to outcome, only to his purpose. Imagine a version of you who stops looking for her response, who deletes her number instead of writing essays to win her back, who stares in the mirror and says, I decide my value. You build that man through repetition, through pain, through refusing to beg. Go to the gym not because it makes you attractive, but because it reminds you that you can endure. Wake up early and build, whether it's a business, a skill, or your body, not for applause, but for war. Set goals not to impress her, but to test yourself. Write them down, break them into steps, check them off daily, and realize that this act alone makes you more powerful than 99% of men. Stop giving her your mind space. If she left, she did you a favor. She made space for a man who won't chase. Because when you validate a woman before she's earned it, you devalue yourself. When you give her compliments every hour, when you like every post, when you ask how she's doing constantly, you become the background noise she can't hear anymore. and in doing so, you disappear. If you want to reclaim yourself, start with this. Go 1 week without initiating. No calls, no texts, no checking her stories. Watch how hard that feels. That's withdrawal from addiction. You were addicted to being seen, and now you'll learn to see yourself. Track your habits. Replace reaction with construction. Instead of texting her good morning, write 3 affirmations. Instead of asking if she misses you, go crush a personal best in the gym. Instead of telling her how amazing she is, ask yourself, what part of my life have I been avoiding building? That is the foundation. That is the power she senses and respects. When you walk into a room and need nothing, she notices. When you lean back and watch her invest, she feels it. Because now, you're not desperate. You're selective. You're not seeking love. You are love. And women respect a man who stands firm, who can take her or leave her, who can love deeply yet never lose himself. That's what they chase. Not the sweet words, not the constant attention, but the man who gives them less and somehow makes them want more. Validation is weakness not because giving is bad, but because it's meant to be earned, not offered blindly. So ask yourself, have I given what hasn't been earned? If so, cut it off, pull it back, reclaim your attention. Because when she loses your validation, she starts realizing your value. And when you realize you never needed hers to begin with, you become untouchable. Because when she loses your validation, she starts realizing your value. And when you realize you never needed hers to begin with, you become untouchable. And if you're ready to make that shift permanent, to never return to the version of you who begged, who chased, who overgave, then it's time you get your hands on the Stoic Relationship Blueprint. The link is right there in the comments. This isn't just a book, it's your foundation. It answers every question you've screamed in silence. Why doesn't she respect me? How do I get it back? How do I build unshakable strength? Inside are the exact principles, habits, and mindsets that will rewire the way you show up in every relationship, not temporarily but for life. You own this forever. No subscriptions, no expiration, just you, your growth, and the knowledge that will never leave your side again. Read it once, carry it forever, because your respect starts the moment you do. Number 2. Women respect power, not please. If you have to explain your worth, you've already lost her respect. The moment she senses you're trying to convince her why you matter, she starts looking for the exit, not always physically, but emotionally. She begins detaching, smiling less, investing less, replying slower, and you feel it. But instead of pulling back, you press harder. You write longer texts. You remind her how much you've done. You replay conversations in your head, wondering where you slipped up. But here's the reality. She didn't lose interest because you made one mistake. She lost interest because you made her your judge. You put her on a pedestal and handed her a gavel. And no woman respects a man who lets her decide his worth. Real power isn't spoken, it's felt. She feels it when you don't flinch at disrespect. She feels it when you walk away from games. She feels it when you speak less and do more. Have you ever been in a room and suddenly everyone's paying attention? Not because someone raised their voice, but because they said nothing and moved with intention. That's the kind of man women respect. The one who isn't dancing for validation. The one who doesn't need her attention because his focus is on something far beyond her. His mission, his kingdom, his future. You don't get that power by being nice. You get it by being non-negotiable, by knowing exactly who you are and never folding that for her comfort. Imagine she tests you, ignores your message for hours, jokes about other guys in front of you, flirts with the waiter. The weak man gets passive-aggressive. The average man explains why it upset him. The powerful man, he disappears. Not as a tactic, not to manipulate, but because he has zero tolerance for games. And that energy, that willingness to walk, is what women chase. It's what they respect. Because while they may play, they're also watching. Watching how you react. Watching if you fold. Watching if your confidence is real or just a performance when things are easy. You build real power by setting standards and enforcing them. Start now. Write down 3 behaviors you will never tolerate again, and when you see them, act, not with yelling, not with begging, but with decisive withdrawal. Build your schedule around your goals, not her availability. Train daily, not to look good, but to prove to yourself that you can stay disciplined when no one's watching. Speak less. Move with calm. Let your results speak so loud that your words become unnecessary. Because the man who doesn't chase, who doesn't explain, who doesn't beg, that man haunts her. And not just her, the world. The boss respects him. The peers follow him. The weak resent him. But the powerful man, he is rare, and rare is remembered. So the next time you feel that urge to explain, to please, to make her stay, stop, breathe. Ask yourself, is this what a powerful man would do? And if the answer is no, don't do it. Let her go. Let her wonder. Let her chase. Because women don't fall for the men who do the most. They fall for the men who do the least, but mean every inch of it. They fall for power, and power doesn't plead. Number 3, simping destroys respect. She'll never tell you the truth, but she feels it every second you chase her like she's the air you breathe. She senses it, and it makes her skin crawl, not because she doesn't enjoy the attention, but because deep inside her DNA she's wired to reject the man who offers himself without standards. And you've been that man, the one who sends long texts when she sends short ones, the one who waits around hoping she'll notice your kindness, your loyalty, your consistency, and you wear it like a badge, as if those things alone make you worthy. But what you don't understand is that the moment you start simping, over-complimenting, over-investing, over-prioritizing her above yourself, is the moment she starts pulling away, not because she's evil, not because she wants to hurt you, but because she's reacting to what you're broadcasting. And what you're broadcasting is that her approval is your prize, that her attention is your purpose, and no woman respects a man who crowns her as the center of his life before she's even earned a throne. Have you ever bought her something expensive hoping it would make her love you more, and instead she replied with a simple, "Thanks," and nothing changed? Have you ever offered to be her shoulder to cry on when she's talking about another guy, and you thought being there would earn you a chance? Have you ever sat on her calls for hours while she barely asked about you, because deep down you believed if you're just nice enough, if you show her how good you are, she'll choose you? But she never does, because women don't want good guys who beg, they want great men who walk. And the truth is, simping doesn't make her love you, it makes her tolerate you. And toleration is the slowest death of a relationship, because you're present, but never desired. You're safe, but never chased. You're agreeable, but never respected. And the deeper you go into this mindset, the more you lose yourself, until you don't even recognize the man in the mirror, the one who used to have dreams, direction, pride. And now he waits by his phone like a servant for her breadcrumbs of affection. And that's what you've become. The servant, not the king. The footnote in her story, not the plot twist. And if that hits you hard, good, because this is the moment you wake up. This is the moment you take back your respect, and you don't do it by being mean. You don't become some cold-hearted version of yourself. You simply stop offering your energy where it's not earned. You stop texting first. You stop buying gifts that haven't been reciprocated. You stop listening to problems that don't involve you, and you start becoming the man who values himself enough to say, "No, my time is not free. My effort is not unlimited. My heart is not a donation." And how do you start this transformation? You start by cutting off every behavior that screams desperation. You don't double text. You don't rearrange your life for a maybe. You don't beg for her to see what's already obvious if she was paying attention, and instead of chasing her, you chase excellence. You chase that body you've been slacking on. You chase those goals you abandoned. You chase becoming the kind of man that she simps for. Not because you wanted her to, but because your presence is undeniable, and that starts today. Delete her number if she's not showing interest. Get off social media for a week and recalibrate your self-worth. Pick one goal and go obsessively after it. Build muscle, build money, build skills. Because when you build value, women notice. Not because you're showing it off, but because they can feel the energy shift. They sense the lack of neediness. They sense the focus. And that's when they start calling, texting, asking about you. But by then, you'll barely have time to reply because you're no longer available like you were before. And that's when the respect returns. When you've made it clear that your world doesn't revolve around her, and now she's desperate to be part of it. But it all begins the moment you stop simping and start standing like a man. Number 4. Respect starts with boundaries. You may think being agreeable makes you lovable, but every time you say yes when you meant no, every time you let her get away with a jab disguised as a joke, every time you tolerate her flaking and excuses and disrespect without consequence, you are not being kind, you are betraying yourself. And the price you pay is not just emotional pain, it's a slow erosion of your masculinity, because boundaries are the invisible fences that separate men from doormats. They're not walls to keep women out. They're standards that make women feel secure. And if you've ever stayed in a relationship where you felt drained but too afraid to walk away, if you've ever nodded your head while your gut screamed, "This isn't right," if you've ever changed your plans, sacrificed your priorities, rearranged your values to make her happy only for her to leave anyway, then you know the cost of having no boundaries, and it's always the same. They stop respecting you, they stop admiring you, and deep down, they stop loving you, because love without respect is pity, and a woman who pities you will eventually punish you for making her your god. And you'll sit there wondering how it all fell apart when you did everything to make her happy. But the truth is, you forgot to make yourself proud, and boundaries are the difference between a man who leads and a man who's led, between a man who commands respect and a man who chases scraps of it. And it starts with decisions that make your spine straighten, not out of anger, but out of principle. Imagine she shows up late without explanation, and you don't yell, you don't beg, you just leave. Imagine she jokes about another man, and you don't laugh along. You look her in the eye and say, "I don't play disrespect." And you don't explain, you don't argue, you walk. Because every time you let something slide, you teach her how to treat you. Every time you avoid conflict, you teach her your boundaries are bendable, and women don't admire men who bend, they admire men who hold. And if she's not used to boundaries, she may test you harder, but that test is a gift. It's her way of asking, "Can you protect me from myself?" And the man who passes that test, not with volume, but with conviction, earns not just her attraction, but her reverence. And how do you build this in real life? You start with clarity. Write down your top 5 values, define your limits, rehearse saying no without guilt, track every time you compromise out of fear, and replace it with action from strength. Cut off anyone who drains you, friends, family, lovers, because respect isn't earned in speeches, it's built in the decisions no one sees. And the moment you enforce your first boundary, you'll feel something in your chest. A kind of fire that says, "I'm back." And from that place you rebuild, brick by brick, not seeking to control others, but to control access to yourself. And in that control, you become magnetic, because now your love is precious, now your time is sacred, and now your energy is limited to those who earn it. And the woman who earns it will know what most men never understand. That the man who enforces his boundaries with calm strength is the man who creates safety, And safety is what women truly crave, not your flowers, not your compliments, not your compliance, your spine, your standards, your self-respect. Number 5. Emotions are tools, not excuses. You've been lied to about your feelings. They told you to just express yourself, that if you cry enough, if you bleed out your pain onto the table, if you hand her your heartbreak in its rawest form, she'll admire your vulnerability. She'll lean in closer. She'll respect your openness. But what they didn't tell you is that she's not your therapist. She's not your mother. She's not responsible for holding your wounds. And while you sit there pouring your soul out hoping she'll understand, she's quietly pulling away. Not because she's heartless, but because she's wired to follow strength, and you're showing her instability, not honesty. Have you ever confessed your insecurities, your fears, your anxieties, and instead of comfort, you got distance? The texts slowed down, the affection cooled, and you were left with this ache in your chest wondering, what did I do wrong? It wasn't what you felt, it's how you carried it. Because emotions aren't meant to dominate your actions, they're meant to inform them. They're not your drivers, they're your dashboard. And the moment you let them take the wheel, you crash your relationships, your purpose, your potential. And this doesn't mean you suppress what you feel. It means you wield it like a sword, controlled, precise, deadly, only when needed. And the man who understands this becomes unshakable, not cold, but composed, not numb, but centered. And this power starts by removing your emotions from the conversation table and placing them in the arena. Turn sadness into fuel. Have you ever been cheated on, blindsided, abandoned when you gave everything, felt like you were losing your mind from the confusion? Good. Now take that rage, that heartbreak, and use it to build the life she never believed you could. Stop sending paragraphs and start sending results. If you're angry, train. If you're anxious, plan. If you're broken, rebuild. Not for her, not for revenge, but for the part of you that still remembers who the hell you are. Start a routine that anchors you before the chaos begins. Wake up and sweat. Journal without filters. Eat food that fuels, not numbs. Read words that sharpen, not sedate. Stop venting to women and start mastering your frame. Because when you show her that you feel without crumbling, when you move through pain without seeking pity, when you lead even when your chest is heavy, she will look at you with awe. And not just her, the world, because very few men can feel without folding. And if you want to be the exception, you must build a life that holds you when no one else will. The moment you master your emotions is the moment she stops trying to manage you. The tests stop because she sees you can handle more than feelings. You can handle life. And when she knows that, she can finally relax, and the love becomes real. Because now you're not just a man who feels, you're a man who leads, and leaders use emotions to navigate, not justify weakness. And if you've been the man who breaks down in front of her expecting closeness and got coldness instead, don't hate her, learn from it, level up, and never bleed where you eat again, because the battlefield of relationships isn't won by emotion, it's won by control, discipline, clarity. And the man who makes decisions based on values, not mood, becomes unforgettable, not because he doesn't feel, but because he feels and still moves. Number 6. Masculinity means direction. Every man has felt lost at some point, waking up, scrolling through a feed, waiting for motivation to hit like a lightning bolt, looking in the mirror and not recognizing the man looking back because you stopped moving forward and the world kept spinning without you, and now you're adrift. No anchor, no aim, just reacting to life instead of leading it. And what's worse, you started thinking that this drift was normal, that maybe you're not meant to have purpose, that maybe you're supposed to follow instead of lead. But let me tell you this, a man without direction is a man without identity, and no matter how attractive you are, how rich, how kind, if she feels that you're lost, She will leave, not because she hates you, but because nature wired her to follow a man who knows where he's going, and if you don't, she will find someone who does. Have you ever had a woman lose interest even when everything seemed perfect? She said she loved your heart, your vibe, your loyalty, and yet she slowly faded, stopped responding, and you sat there wrecked, trying to figure out what you missed. But you didn't miss anything. You were just stagnant, and women do not follow stagnation. They follow direction, they follow progress. They follow the energy of a man who wakes up hungry, who has a vision so clear it burns, and that fire, that momentum, it pulls her in. Not because you're trying to impress her, but because she can feel the gravity of a man who is going somewhere with or without her. And the truth is, most men don't have this because they never take the time to define what they want. They float between distractions, clinging to entertainment, drifting in relationships, hoping something outside them will give them clarity. But direction doesn't find you. You create it, and it starts with choosing a mission that scares you, a mountain so high it makes your hands sweat, and then committing to the first step with obsessive clarity. Wake up at the same time every day. Read one page from a book that strengthens your mind. Journal your targets before the world interrupts your headspace. Go to the gym and train like you're preparing for war. Build a craft that you can't outsource. Write, code, paint, build. Master something that takes years, because in mastery you find self-worth, and in self-worth you find direction. And once you have it, you protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. And once she sees that your life is moving, that you have purpose that doesn't bend around her schedule, she'll start trying to fit into your world instead of asking you to shrink into hers. And that's when respect blooms, not because you chased it, but because you earned it by choosing something bigger than comfort. If you've been drifting, wake up tomorrow and map your next 30 days. What are your non-negotiables? What are your targets? What will you stop tolerating? And don't share this plan. Live it. Let the results speak so loud she has to lean in, and if she doesn't, that's okay too, because now you're not building for love, you're building for legacy, and that energy changes everything. Your walk, your words, your worth. And in that shift, you become a rare breed of man, not because you said the right things, but because you're walking a path with conviction, and she sees it in your eyes, in your calendar, in your choices, and she knows, without a doubt, you're going somewhere, and the man who's going somewhere never chases. He chooses, and she either aligns with the direction or gets left behind. Number 7. Walk away, power wins. There is no greater test of a man's self-worth than the moment he has to choose between staying where he's disrespected or walking away with nothing but his dignity intact. And most men fail this test, not because they're weak, but because they've built their identity around being chosen, around being accepted, around being enough for someone who treats them like they're disposable. And you know this test. Maybe you've been in that relationship where everything felt like a transaction, where your time, your love, your effort were given like offerings, and all you got back were delays, excuses, emotional games that made you question your sanity, and still you stayed, hoping that one more act of kindness, one more show of loyalty would make her see your value, but instead she respected you less. And deep down, you felt it. Every time you swallowed your truth just to avoid another argument, every time you said it's okay when you were dying inside, every time she crossed the line and you drew a new one further back because you didn't want to lose her, that was a betrayal not of her, but of yourself, and it all stems from one root problem. You haven't built the power to walk away, and until you do, you'll always be negotiating your worth with people who never plan to give you what you deserve. Walking away is not about punishing her. It's not about being cold. It's about being clear that you will never beg to be respected, never beg to be treated right. And if that means walking out with your chest heavy and your phone dry and your nights quiet, then so be it, because the man who walks is the man who wins. not because he doesn't care, but because he refuses to trade his soul for comfort. And you build this kind of power before you need it. You build it by building you, by making your mind so focused on a purpose that losing her doesn't shake your identity, by building a lifestyle so full that her absence creates space, not emptiness. And if you want this power, start with one act of defiance. Stop responding to half-effort. Delete the number that only calls you when she's bored. Stop answering messages from women who ignored you when you were all in. Start treating your energy like it's scarce and sacred. Build your day so packed with mission that you forget to wonder if she saw your story. Train your body like you're at war, because the battle is not for her. It's for your focus, for your freedom, for your future. Start building a circle of brothers who remind you who you are, not ones who laugh while you sink deeper into her games. And when you do walk away, don't look back, don't text again, don't check in. Let your absence do the talking. Let her realize that the man who once gave everything now gives nothing, and that loss will echo louder than any words ever could. She may move on fast, she may pretend to be unbothered, but when she lays in bed and remembers how you held yourself with poise, even when she tried to shake you, how you left instead of pleaded, that's the respect she never gave and now can't reclaim. And you didn't get that by being ruthless. You got it by being ready to lose everything to gain yourself, because true strength is not shown by how long you endure disrespect, but by how fast you refuse to wear it. And the men who understand this walk taller, speak clearer, live freer, because nothing owns them anymore. Not her smile, not her promises, not her absence. And if you want to feel that freedom, if you want to breathe again after years of walking on emotional eggshells, draw the line today and say, this is where I stop chasing and start building. And from that day on, every step you take will echo with dignity, with power, with clarity, and the world, including her, will feel it. Number 8. Earn admiration, not attention. Attention is the sugar of the male ego. It's sweet, addictive, and it leaves you starving for more because it feeds nothing real. And every man at some point has chased it, posting for likes, flexing for comments, talking louder in rooms just to be seen, trying to impress women with material, with status, with stories that hide the fact that deep down, he's empty. And maybe you've been that man, trying to be the center of her world, when you weren't even the center of your own. Maybe you gave her flowers every week, hoping she'd finally say what you wanted to hear. Maybe you told her everything you accomplished, not because you were proud, but because you wanted her eyes to shine with approval. And the truth that burns through this facade is this: admiration can't be bought, it can't be begged for, it must be earned. And earning it starts when you stop trying to be seen and start building something worth seeing. Have you ever noticed how women talk about men they admire? They don't speak about the men who chased them. They speak about the ones who didn't need them, the ones who built something bigger than a relationship, the ones who were so focused on their craft, their growth, their mission, that their presence alone changed the room. And that kind of man is rare, not because he's born special, but because he chose a different path. He chose to be excellent, not visible, and that path is open to you, but only if you stop chasing short-term validation and start building long-term value. Start by mastering something, anything. Don't try to be good at everything. Choose one thing and go all in. Make it your art, your weapon, your purpose. Become so skilled that your results speak for you. And when you walk into a room, you won't need to announce your presence. It will be felt. Women will sense it. Not because you said the right words, but because you embody what they rarely see. Discipline, focus, restraint. Men who don't fold under pressure but thrive inside it. And admiration grows when your life is aligned, when your words match your actions, when your boundaries are enforced and your goals are pursued with relentless execution. Build a life that speaks before you do. Build routines that anchor you, relationships that elevate you, environments that sharpen you, and every time you feel the urge to seek her attention, pause and ask, is this building me or proving me? And if it's the latter, stop, redirect, invest back into yourself, write your goals daily, audit your actions weekly, and surround yourself with men who admire your grind, not your followers, because attention is easy. You can get it by being loud, by being controversial, by being naked. But admiration takes time, it takes pain, it takes solitude, and if you're willing to endure that, to walk that path, you will become unforgettable, not to everyone, but to the ones who matter. And when a woman looks at you and sees consistency, strength, vision, she admires you not just for who you are, but for what you chose to become. And no flirty message or pretty face can ever match that feeling, because now you don't just want her. You want a life where love is earned, not owed, where presence is respected, not assumed, and that is the life where you stop being a follower and start becoming a force. A man who doesn't just demand admiration, but earns it through every breath, every choice, every step. If you've made it this far, it's because deep down you already know. The version of you who bends, breaks, and bleeds just to be tolerated. He has to die, not tomorrow, not next week. Now, because no woman, no friend, no society will hand you your worth, you take it back or you stay invisible. And the Stoic relationship blueprint isn't just an ebook, it's the awakening. It's everything you were never told about women, about boundaries, about power, and about the man you could have been if someone had just told you the truth sooner. It's linked in the comments. Click it, own it, and you'll never beg, chase, or doubt yourself again. If you're ready to burn the weakness and become undeniable, comment the Stoic Blueprint right now, like this video, and subscribe, because some man out there is living your regrets, and this message might just save him. Be the reason he wakes up. Be the one who finally gets it right.